I'm so sick of eating the same thing. Or, all I eat is chicken. What else can I have? Friends, prioritizing protein does not mean you have to be gnawing on a chicken breast all dang day. Do you struggle to maintain weight loss but desperately want to feel good in your own skin, confident in your clothes, and improve your overall health? If so, you're home. Hey, I'm Sam, dietitian, specialist in weight management, and former functioning fat girl. I learned the secret of how to lose and maintain weight by simply nourishing my life well. If you're ready for the sustainable nutrition strategies, consistent habits, and freedom from a self-sabotaging mindset, grab your water bottle and let's go. Friends, are you stuck? You need a lifestyle audit. I'm so happy to offer a 1-hour one-on-one coaching session that I call the Winning at Weight Loss Breakthrough Session. During this session, I audit all the different aspects of your day-to-day lifestyle and intake. I compare that with your goal and what you tell me is the main problem you're facing with your health journey, and I coach you on the most simple, realistic thing you can implement immediately to finally break through and start making progress towards lasting weight loss. You'll get a recording of our session, a handout recapping your game plan, and I'll check in with you 1 week later to see how it's going. This is such great value that I only have 10 spots per month available. Click the link in the show notes to book your Winning at Weight Loss breakthrough session as soon as possible so you don't miss out. Stop spinning your wheels trying to throw spaghetti at the wall, no pun intended, to find something that finally kickstarts your progress. Get your simple lifestyle audit in your breakthrough session and start winning at weight loss. I can't wait to meet you. Click that link in the show notes and let's hop into today's episode. It all starts with a list. I stand in the kitchen, opening all the cabinets and staring into the refrigerator to see what I need, and I create my list. Sometimes I'll Google different ways to make things or chat GPT a recipe, but usually I just decide what I want to be eating in the upcoming week and write it all down. For me, it's pretty simple because I do tend to eat a lot of the same things over and over again, and it doesn't bother me. So once the list is done, I head to the grocery store. By the way, let me pause here to emphasize this is in a fed state. There is no fasted food shopping over here. Okay, I'm not perfect. Of course, it happens sometimes, but I make this strategic effort to be fully fed prior to hitting up a store filled with food. Otherwise, I'm going to get what's on my list plus a bunch of other things I don't have any business bringing into my home. So grocery shopping is one of my absolute favorite activities. I love looking at all the food, reading labels, checking out new things I've never seen before, and getting ideas for the future. Once I get what I need, I head home and basically dump everything out of the bags onto my kitchen counter and get started. If something requires no prep of any kind, like, milk, I put it all away. Any produce that needs to be washed, chopped, divided into portions, I do that first before putting it away. Because we all know when we hungry, we are not taking an extra 5 minutes to wash or chop anything. Whatever needs to be cooked, like proteins, veg, carb, I get started and spend approximately 3 to 3.5 hours from start to finish prepping everything for the week. And by the way, that's start meaning at the grocery store to cleaning up the kitchen. Does that make you cringe or does that excite you? Well, hey friend, don't worry. I'm not going to tell you have to do this. Stick with me. Welcome back to another episode of the More Than a Number podcast, where we take the science of weight loss and weight management and marry it with reality so you can simplify your systems. And by the way, That's what happens when I actually have the time to do my preferred meal prep. Unfortunately, lately, I don't. So I'm using a meal delivery service that is wonderful because 12 meals, 6 breakfasts and 6 lunch, show up on my doorstep every Sunday, and boom, 95% of my prep is already done. There are some really great companies that make this possible. We have to just be smart about which meals we're choosing. If you're wondering, I use Ideal Nutrition and I absolutely love it. But again, there are many. So if that's something that will help you out, you have a lot of options. In the book Atomic Habits, James Clear says, we do not rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. So what is your meal prep system? I just told you my ideal system, but strong emphasis on mine. What works for me is not going to work for everyone. But the key is that you do have to find a system, and a system that is realistic to do consistently. Consistently does not mean perfectly every single time, never veering from the plan. It means most of the time. We get it right more often than we get it wrong. The reason meal prep is so popular is because it works. It's setting us up for success. If we fail to plan, we plan to fail, right? Remember in episode 21 when we uncovered the real secret to lasting weight loss? If you haven't listened, go back and listen. But spoiler alert, it's nothing sexy or secretive at all. It's just good old-fashioned tracking. I talked about tracking many different aspects of our journey, but when it comes specifically to tracking our food, meal prep makes it 1,000,000,000 times easier. So whether you prep for a day or two in advance, an entire week, bulk prep or freeze for weeks in advance, whatever your prep style is, you know exactly what you made, what's in it, how you portioned it, and you can easily plug it in an app and add it to your day's intake. The other beautiful part about the meal delivery services is that they literally give you the calorie and macro breakdown, so you can very, very easily track it. Now, very common feedback I get from clients when we're working towards them meeting their daily protein needs or even increasing their daily protein needs is, I'm so sick of eating the same thing, or all I eat is chicken. What else can I have? Friends, prioritizing protein does not mean you have to be gnawing on a chicken breast all dang day. First of all, there are so many great sources of lean animal proteins. You don't have to have just chicken. However, in defense of that chicken, I will also add that you don't have to just have chicken breast. The thighs are quite lean. You just want to avoid the skin. Also, there are literally a gajillion different ways to prepare and season chicken. Get a little creative and Google or ChatGPT some simple recipes so you're not just trying to shove down plain old boiled or baked chicken breasts with the same salt, pepper, and garlic powder every single time. But there are also so many other things. You just may need to step outside of your baked chicken box. For example, turkey, pork tenderloin, pork chops, lean ground meat, lean steak, eggs, fish, shellfish. Come on, walk on the wild side a little and challenge yourself to try some new things. Now, the beauty of solid animal source proteins is that they're more satiating. So they do keep you feeling full for longer. Also, they require more work, aka chewing. If we are practicing mindful eating, then taking the time to pay attention to what we're doing, like actually putting the fork down, chewing thoroughly before we swallow, and waiting a moment before we pick the fork back up again and take another bite, that gives our digestive hormones the time to talk to our brain and allows our brain to figure out, like, hey, we're being fed. Typically, for most people, softer, less solid foods are a lot easier to eat quickly and can lead to overeating because, well, I don't know about you guys, but my toxic trait is to inhale mindlessly if I'm not paying attention. However, sometimes if we try to only eat proteins at our meals so that we can meet our goals, we can potentially not have room for anything else. And then on the one hand, we may think that's great because we think it's the other stuff that gets us into trouble. But eating the same slab of chicken or whatever animal protein over and over again can be a big bummer after a while. We miss those others, and our body is lacking the nutrients we get from those other things. It's one of the many, many reasons extreme diets don't work long term, because we get sick of it and then we go buck wild on all the things we were missing. I know I'm doing a little bit of the presidential weave right now, but stick with me. I'm going to pull it all together regarding the meal prep. I promise. Let me break this down so you can see what I mean. Let's say your range of protein to aim for daily is 110 to 150 grams per day. That's a decent amount of protein. There's approximately 7 grams per ounce of any meat, fish, or egg. So if you need 150 grams of protein in a day and you have 3 meals, that would mean you'd have to get 50 grams of protein at each of your meals, which translates to approximately a 7-ounce piece of chicken, turkey, whatever protein. 7 ounces is a fairly large portion, so it's unlikely that if you ate that, you'd have much room for anything else. It's also not as exciting as having a variety of other foods. You know what I mean? Especially if you're on these weight loss meds or if you're a bariatric patient, 7 ounces is typically unachievable, especially in that first year or so after surgery. Also, not as exciting. I love protein. And again, I really don't mind eating a lot of the same things all the time, but even I don't want to eat the same tired slab of chicken breast multiple times a day, every day. According to James Clear's 4 laws of behavior change, if a habit is not attractive or convenient or satisfying, it's not going to stick around. We may white knuckle our way through a period of time where we just eat baked chicken every day, but at some point we're going to revolt and find something more mentally and physically satisfying. Come on, I know we've all been on that diet, or should I say diets, plural, where we could barely bring ourselves to swallow another bite of the same tired thing. We see this really often in bariatrics or on the weight loss meds as well, because there's only so much capacity there, and we push the protein being the most important thing. So after a few months of literally only protein, people are like, no more. Give me something else for the love of God. So what do? Well, I'm glad you asked. We do get protein from many other sources, so we have to kind of tap into our other options. And we also need to get strategic about how we structure our food consumption throughout the day. Dairy and plant-based sources that we can add to our meals give us variety. They don't typically take up as much room, and they contribute to increasing the total amount of protein per meal. Are you following? So instead of a 7-ounce piece of chicken and a singular bite or two of a side, you could have a quote unquote normal size piece. Obviously, what is normal is subjective. If you are not a bariatric patient or on weight loss meds, a 4 to 5 ounce piece of solid protein is reasonable. and won't take up all your space so you can still enjoy other things with your meals. If you've had weight loss surgery or are on meds, maybe a 3-ounce portion may be more manageable. I'm going to use the example of a non-bariatric weight loss med belly. A 4 to 5 ounce portion would yield us approximately 28 to 35 grams of protein. And then we can jack that up a little by just blobbing a 1/4 of a cup or a 1/2 a cup of cottage cheese on it. That's another 6 to 12 grams. Adding on a high protein Greek yogurt dip or sauce, like plain Greek yogurt or kefir mixed with chunky salsa or ranch seasoning, is a staple in my fridge at all times. That's another 6 to 12 grams of protein. You can get another 8 grams from a 1/4 of a cup of black beans and a 1/4 of a cup of quinoa. A 1/2 a cup of chickpeas will add roughly 8 grams of protein. So you see where I'm going with this. Your 28 to 35 grams of protein can easily be elevated up to 45 grams just by adding a little extra protein pizzazz to your meals. And as I mentioned, the structure with which we eat, so how often we're consuming energy, aka calories, whether it's that standard 3 meals plus 2 snacks or 4 to 6 smaller, more frequent meals throughout the day, we just want to be intentional and strategic about how we're prepping our proteins to have each time we eat. If our meals aren't able to meet the total amount for the day, then we want to be intentional with our snacks to make up for it. But it's the quote unquote intentional piece that I'm trying to drill into and weave back to here. Whether we're meal prepping all of our meals ourselves, like meaning we're the ones cooking and preparing it, or we have the meal delivery service, or we just purchase pre-made meals from somewhere, if those meals fall short of our total protein goals, don't feel defeated like there's just no way to get more in. We need to add that protein pizzazz. Even my ideal nutrition meals, I will pizzazz it up with some cottage cheese or my world famous Greek yogurt dips I was talking about. And by world famous, I mean in my world, they are famous. We can get some black beans, some chickpeas, rinse them and portion them out, and just take them with you and throw in your meals. Quinoa takes literally 2 minutes to make and then portion out with your beans. Okay, maybe not literally 2 minutes, but pretty close to it. Snacks can be as simple as high protein, low sugar Greek yogurt, and depending on how much more protein you need, we can add some more protein with some nuts and seeds, nut butters, just mind your portions, of course. Supplements like protein powders or shakes can be a great way to add a big punch. But also, we can take that protein powder and add 1/2 a scoop to our yogurt for some of that extra pizzazz. By the way, I have never and likely will never say the word pizzazz as much as I have in this short podcast. So maybe you don't have time to prep a bunch of meals, but everyone has 5 or 10 minutes to just put some of that, I'm going to say it again, guys, protein pizzazz together to add more protein without taking up all the space in your belly. So you don't even have enough room for any delicious and nutritious fruits, veggies, and whole grains. Meal prep doesn't have to be boring or monotonous. Reaching our protein goals, even on a high protein diet, doesn't have to be tedious and redundant. There are a multitude of ways we can reach our protein goals and still eat all the other yummies along with it. Dairy and plant-based proteins are what I consider that extra pop of protein at our meals to give us fun variety and contribute to our meals' protein content. That's the pizzazz, baby. And although I like pop of protein too, maybe I'll roll with that going forward. So you can visualize a good example of what I'm talking about. I'm going to create a plate for you and then cover a few of the ways discussed on how to add that pop. And this can be a meal our own two hands cooked, or the good chefs doing the Lord's work for these meal delivery companies. My meal is a 4.5-ounce chicken breast with grilled asparagus and half a baked potato. Yields approximately 32 grams of protein. There are many things we can do here, but I'm going to add 1/4 cup of cottage cheese and just blob it on top of my chicken. That doesn't take up much more space, but adds approximately 7 grams of protein. I'm also going to take 1/4 cup of my Greek yogurt salsa sauce and drizzle it over my baked potato. That's another 7 grams of protein. So now my meal went from 32 grams to 46 grams of protein. I'm going to include a list of these pops of protein in this week's newsletter. So if you're not signed up for the More Than a Number weekly newsletter, go to bit.ly, that's B like boy, it.ly/MTAN, like more than a number, MTAN weekly. That's bit.ly/MTAN weekly. And get yourself on the list so you don't miss out on all the fun VIP value. Please, please, please do not assume you don't have time for meal prep and just throw in the towel. And honestly, maybe we shouldn't even call it meal prep. Maybe we should just call it food prep. Whatever. Because maybe you're like me and ain't nobody got time right now. So you hop on the meal delivery bandwagon. Cool. But we can still prepare intentional snacks and pops of whatever we need. This episode is specifically about the protein, but we can add pops of whatever nutrients we need in very simple ways to meet our energy and nutrition needs without boring ourselves to death with the same old thing. If this was helpful for you, I'd love to hear about your protein pizzazz. Please email me at sam@theanchorednutrition.com. And mostly, if this was helpful for you, I would be so grateful if you took 30 seconds to leave me a written review on Apple Podcasts. It's the best way to help share the mission to those who need it. As always, until next time, my friends, God loves you and I love you. Have a great day. Hey friend, I really hope you feel empowered by this episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with another friend who needs it? Also, please leave a quick review for the show on Apple Podcasts. It brings me so much joy to know this podcast is helping you. Okay, time to go nourish well, aka eat some good food. I'll meet you back here next time for another episode. I love you and God loves you. Have a beautiful day.